Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 9th, 2018. Timmy and I are out here in the part of the next to the first food forest on the western side of the property near all the almond trees. And this last week I've had to get a tool out that I haven't described in the past that I find that I rely on. I use it about twice a year, and what I use this tool for is removing those trees, young trees that are growing up in places that I don't want them. So in our food forests, birds will come and sit on the high bush blueberry plants or sit on the peach trees, nectarines and all the various berry bushes around the property, and the deposit seeds. We also have, we're loaded with maple trees and oak trees and a whole variety of different trees on the property. And the wind blows in seeds as well. And although it's relatively easy to keep small young trees under control and cutting them down underneath a single trunk tree like an apple tree, a peach tree, nectarine, plum, whatever it may be, it's more challenging with your bush plants. Also, other locations that I find challenging to keep these trees under control that are coming up in places that you don't want them, such as next to my gas line. I had to next to the house, I have a propane gas line that comes up for emergency backup. And so a small tree had been growing up there, growing up near hydrants, growing up near the transformer. So the transformer, which changes the voltage from the utility company down to a voltage that's appropriate for our household. So we have this big transformer outside of the house surrounded by various bushes, landscaping bushes, and I've got trees growing up in there, and some of these trees have very deep intertwined roots, and I don't want them growing up and getting entangled in the utility wires. These may be growing up next to buildings, or like behind me here, we've got high bush blueberry that's for the wildlife around here, and I've got several undesirable trees growing up here. There's this small one here that's here now. We got some maple trees in here as well. Several trees. There's probably 7 or 8 trees in here. And they're competing with the berry bushes, and I could go in with a set of loppers, as I've done in the past, lop them off, and I don't get to it soon enough, then I've got 3 or 4 small trunks coming up from that root crown, and it's more of a hassle. It competes with the desirable plant that we want. It shades it out, decreases airflow, and it makes it more susceptible to disease as well. So what's the tool that I use around here for this? And it's called a Brush Grubber, and I'll put a link to this in the description below. And basically it's a tool that you can put on the trunk of a tree. They describe it as being able to use it for brush as well. I don't find it as useful for brush, but this tool, I can go ahead, open up the tool, put it on the trunk of a tree, and all these small teeth that are here, they grab right onto the trunk of the tree and lock right on it. I hook a short chain to it on this side, so I've got a small chain here, just less than 4 feet long, that has a hook on either side, that I can either hook this chain to another chain if I need to hook it to Pepe, the little utility vehicle, or hook it to Bumblebee, which I'm going to be using, the mini excavator bucket. That's the easiest way to use it. I've hooked it onto the chain of my truck to pull these small trees out in the past. I've hooked it onto a 4x4, an 8-foot 4x4 pressure treated post, that I've also used a 2-foot section of 4x4 or 6x6 actually as a fulcrum to go ahead and use it to apply pressure to lift some of these small trees out of the ground. One of the things that I will do, if it's a small diameter trunk or if it's something like we have sumac around here, that whatever it is, something that's easily tearable, that the trunk isn't really hard and firm, then I definitely want to use a vice grips just above it on the stem. So if I've got a trunk that's the diameter of my thumb, I'll almost always put a set of vice grips, a small tool that clamps above where this grafts, and we want to get this as close to the root crown as possible. And I'll demonstrate it. I think I may have had the GoPro hooked on some of the other ones that I took out before. I'll see if there's still some of that footage as well. So this is a tool that I think works really handy at being able to extract those trees that got out of control, started growing up next to the building, up against the foundation, right up against the siding, up next to utility lines, gas lines, electric lines, and you want to get them out, and you don't want to use a piece of equipment, or you don't want to dig down with a pick and shovel because you may disrupt some of those services. And it's something that you've got to repair, as even the ground surface. Where this does less damage, you can usually pull them out pretty well. So let's see how this goes. See, they're all intertwined. They end up coming through this blueberry bush here. Alright, I'm back, and I just want to do a quick little summary. I've got one of the small trees that I pulled up. With this one, since the main trunk is about just a little bit less than the diameter of my thumb, I use the vice grips just above where I attach the brush grubber, or tree grabber I'm going to call it. And those teeth sunk into this pretty well, but it could have stripped if I didn't have this set of vice grips just above it. But it didn't in many cases when I used it. Let me just set this down. So the root grubber grabs a hold of it pretty darn well. As you can see, it's snagged onto it, and you can see the root structure that's intertwined between all of the bush or the tree or your foundation or gas lines or water lines or your transformer complex. All of these things can really get down there. They can get into your foundation wall and all, and it can be a real hassle to dig these things out, and you can do a lot of damage. So with some of these, pulling a lot of these out, and let's say the scale that we have here, it's worthwhile investing in a tool like this. This tool I probably had 12 years now. It's made in China. It's very well built. It's a rather simplistic design. It's easy to set up against the base of a tree, and it probably will work on some brush as well. I would probably, this isn't one of the tools that I use for brush. Okay, with this one, when I pulled this one out from probably the first blueberry bush that I took this maple out from, I could see that there were two different tree types in there. Were one brush and this one maple tree. But this maple tree, I thought there were 5 trunks coming up, just like these two here look like separate ones. This is actually a sucker coming off of this root, and there was another sucker coming off right here. I'm not sure that that's showing up very well, but right here I had another one come up, and that's one of the first ones I hooked onto. I hooked onto that, and it snapped right off here. And I was worried that, oh my goodness, the rest of that rootstock is still in the ground. It's going to shoot up another one. But it actually ripped off of here. Then I hooked onto a separate one that came off of here, and that root is up there. So I pretty much got that whole system out of that blueberry plant. Now it did do some damage because this network underneath the side extension of the blueberry plant went out fairly well, and it disrupted a lot of that root structure. So I took the excavator and I peeled out some of those roots there and all. If this was a dormant time of the year, or if we weren't in a drought, that would work fine to just go ahead and replant those pieces, cut down the blueberry bush themselves, and they'd come back. I'm not going to do it this time because I've got many more of these blueberry plants that I'll be pulling out of an area that I'll be clearing, and they'll be going all over the property for the wildlife as well. But this is a couple inch in diameter. You can see where it grabbed onto here. It doesn't need an extra clamp above it. It worked very well. So in summary, I think this tool is really handy. It's one I do recommend. I'll put a link to the Brush Grubber in the description below. It's an Amazon affiliate link. They have several different ones. They have the chains as well. I don't know how well their chains work. If anyone else has used their chains for pulling out brush and all, please leave comments below. I'd appreciate that feedback. I have just had not such great luck with the chains that I've used, but I've used those simple link chains, nothing like a choke collar chain that would be used in a dog, which would work much better for brush as well. So if you found this video of value, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post more videos, and certainly folks, have a super fantastic day. Bye bye now. you.